Good afternoon and happy Pride, Calgary. We are speaking on the traditional territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and we acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a deep connection to this land. I'm so thrilled to stand here today with two exceptional NDP candidates who are here with me to celebrate our community and show respect for Pride. From Edmonton-West, Henday, Brooks Arcand-Paul came down here with me to join our Calgary candidates and caucus members for Calgary Pride. Working as in-house legal counsel for the Alexander First Nation and as the Vice President of the Indigenous Bar Association, Brooks is a thoughtful and tireless community builder with strong ties to many diverse communities. I'm also so happy to be joined by Rosman Valencia, running in Calgary-East, a fellow teacher. He moved here from the Philippines in 2015, and he's the Vice President of the End of the Rainbow Foundation, an organization that supports LGBTQ+ refugees settling in Canada. And I also am proud to be joined by a wonderful ally, and that's the MLA from Calgary Mountain View, Kathleen Ganley. At Alberta's NDP, we are grateful for the opportunity to march in Sunday's Calgary Pride Parade, both as members of the 2SLGBTQ+ community and also as allies. You know, one of the great privileges and pleasures of my job is to be able to join Pride celebrations right across Alberta, to celebrate progress and to recommit ourselves to the work ahead. We, the Alberta NDP, believe that every single person should be able to live their life openly and authentically, in dignity, in safety, and with joy. And we champion those rights without reservation. I'm so proud of the work we've done, both when we were in government and during our time in opposition. I'm going to list off a few of those accomplishments. We passed a law to protect the rights of youth to form and join GSAs and QSAs, and to do so without being outed. We changed Alberta's driver's license to include a non-specific gender option, and we amended the Alberta Human Rights Act to entrench protections for transgender folks. We fought to ensure every community could fly a pride flag, no matter what. But as we know, the struggle for human rights is not over, and it's never over. The current UCP government has reversed or abandoned some of that progress. They passed Bill 8, Bill Hate, which stripped away legal protections for kids joining GSAs and QSAs. This caused real harm to young Albertans. It forced some to remain closeted, and it put others in real physical danger. The UCP sent a clear message that they're not supportive, that they're hostile to young 2SLGBTQ+ Albertans. They also abandoned our work towards a ban on the hateful and the abusive practice sometimes called conversion therapy. So it's no surprise to me or to any of us that the UCP is not welcome in this year's Calgary Pride Parade. But at Alberta's NDP, we know we've got more work to do. And a critical part of that is nominating and electing more 2SLGBTQ+ candidates, including members of racialized communities. And I can't tell you how happy, how proud I am to have possibly more MLGs in the legislature with me, and to have these two wonderful humans standing with me right now. And so with that, I'm so proud to introduce Brooks Arcand-Paul to talk about his experiences.
Thank you so much, Janis, and thank you to Rosman for such a warm welcome to the Pride events here in your hometown of Calgary. And I'd be remiss to not also thank the Blackfoot, the Stoney Nakoda, the Tsuut'ina, and Métis Region 3 for welcoming us to their territories. I cannot wait to sit in the legislature with you, Janis, and Rosman to continue the work that our party and our current MLAs have done to fight for the inclusion of our values on intersectionality and diversity within all that we do. One of the things that is the most important to me about Pride is that the active work that advocates have been putting towards making it as inclusive, and that we remember our roots. Pride is a celebration, but it's also a protest. It began as an act of rebellion against the status quo, and in fact, this is why I entered into the law. I saw injustices perpetrated against my people and people within my community, both as a queer and Indigenous man. As a lawyer, committing to changes in the law to reflect diversity and people who have been traditionally voiceless is vital. It truly matters as to who represents that voice and who makes those decisions. It will reflect in better legislation, regulation, and policy. As a province, we have made many great strides in the inclusion and acceptance of our sisters and brothers in the 2SLGBTQ plus community, but we have to defend the human rights that our elders have fought very hard for. We see the rise of extremist ideology against our community, and we need to make sure that we elect an NDP government that will continue to fight for the protection of human rights every day. A commitment to diversity and intersectionality makes sure that government decisions make positive impacts for everyone and in every aspect of their lives. Healthcare, education, and quality of life. We especially have to consider elevation of poverty, which is particularly prevalent for BIPOC and trans women today. This must be central to our work to ensure Albertans can afford the basic necessities that they need to get by. This lens on intersectionality also allows us to have the difficult conversations about homophobia and transphobia within our communities, something that for too many of us is all too common. I am proud to be a candidate for Alberta's NDP, who have always shown their support for this important work and seek to represent all Albertans with candidates that reflect the diversity of our beautiful province. Part of that diversity is reflected in being here with my friends today, and we couldn't possibly talk about Calgary Pride without highlighting a local teacher and a community champion, Rosman Valencia. Rosman, take it away.
Thank you for coming to Calgary Pride and for the work both of you have done to this province. In particular, I want to talk about the important work Alberta's NDP has done to protect young people in Alberta. As a teacher, the rights of students are very close to my heart. When I first started out teaching, well, actually as a student teacher, I helped my school establish its first ever Pride Club. This was a big moment for me and was something I felt was important to contribute to, something I care a lot about. It is so important to me that students have a safe space where their privacy is respected and they can trust those around them. The NDP made sure this could happen with real legal protection. The UCP stripped away those protections. But I commit to you that an Alberta NDP government will restore the right of Alberta youth to form and join GSAs and QSAs, and to do so with their privacy protected under the law. I am so excited to march this weekend with my fellow NDP members and candidates. I've worked for so many years in collaboration with great people to expand Pride events here in Calgary, which led to initiatives including Inglewood Ramsey Pride, as well as working with Fiesta Filipino to help them to be the first Filipino organization to march in Calgary Pride. Serving as the Vice President of the End of the Rainbow Foundation has been a highlight of my community advocacy work. We support LGBTQ 2S+ refugees settling in Canada and work to ensure all people are welcomed and nurtured into Canadian life. This support for diverse communities is deeply important to me and Alberta NDP. I'm proud that the Alberta NDP caucus conducted a year-long consultation with racialized communities to develop a package of anti-racism policy proposals, including the collection of race-based data, introduced as Bill 204, the Anti-Racism Act. The UCP blocked this bill, helped by my opponent in Calgary-East, Peter Singh. But an Alberta's NDP government will pass this bill. Race-based data is foundational work to improve the way that governments interact with racialized people. In closing, I am so happy to welcome my friends to Calgary Pride to show support for my city and my community.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so exciting. Thank you both, Brooks and Rosman. I cannot tell you how excited I am to work with you both in a Rachel Notley government. You know, it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of effort to undo the harm that the UCP have caused in this province. But we're going to go further than that. We're going to move forward with some positive policy proposals. We will expand provincial coverage for trans health care. We'll make it easier for folks to find physicians and healthcare providers that are supportive of the 2SLGBTQ+ community. Develop an inclusive and thoughtful curriculum, to name just a few of our ideas. Most importantly though, we will listen to the 2SLGBTQ+ community. And I can guarantee you this, the Alberta NDP will never stop working to improve the lives of 2SLGBTQ+ Albertans. And with that, we are happy to take your questions.
All right, thank you, Janis, and thank you, Rosman, Brooks, and MLA Ganley. We'll now go to questions. Just a reminder for those joining us on the phones to use the *9 function, and for those joining us on Zoom to use the raise hand function to get into the question queue. We will start with any questions in person. And with no questions in person, we will go to the phones. Our first question comes from Tim Brutch at CTV. Go ahead, Tim, your line is open.
Off topic here, but I do have a question for MLA Irwin. It's about education. A lot of teachers right now are concerned as we head into the new school year that they're just ill prepared for what's going to be a long year. They say that they're worried about class sizes, funding, just resources in general. I'm just wondering what's your take right now on what teachers are walking back into, and is there anything in particular that an NDP government would do to help alleviate some of these concerns?
Yeah, thank you for that question. You know, just yesterday the education minister tweeted about how school authorities are, quote, extremely well funded. Well, you know what? I had to respond to that and explain that that's absolutely not the case. You know, I was a teacher, and I know, first of all, I want to give a shout out to all the teachers and school staff returning. I know it's been a hard time, so we're grateful for the work that they're doing. But for the education minister to attack and to gaslight teachers and school staff and parents by saying that schools are extremely well funded is absolutely outrageous. We're hearing from teachers all over the province who are saying that, you know, their class sizes are out of control. They're saying that they need new schools, they need new infrastructure. And they're saying that on top of all of this, at a time when it's so challenging right now in schools, they're also being forced to implement a new curriculum. A curriculum that none of them asked for, a curriculum that is regressive, that is racist, and is not developmentally appropriate at all. And so, you know, those are some of the main things that we're calling for. My colleague Sarah Hoffman has gone on the record saying, like, look, you need to be investing in more schools, build new schools, particularly in North Calgary, where we see some intense pressures right now. You need to abandon, you need to scrap that regressive curriculum. And you need to start supporting teachers in the classroom and hiring more teachers. I do want to just throw it over to my colleague Rosman, who is a teacher right now. He might have some perspective on what it's like on the ground.
Thank you so much for the question. I am a teacher with the public school board here in Calgary, and to be honest with you, we are not making things up. Class sizes are up, and we are suffering. Teachers are suffering. You can ask all the teachers around, because this government literally underspent. And it's about time that we have to make sure that the schools are well funded. And not only that, making sure that the curriculum that we will be teaching the kids is developmentally appropriate. And not only that, will bring us to the future, not back in the 1950s. Funding is always an issue. And so we need a government right now that will definitely take care of our schools. And I don't think the UCP is doing their job, especially the Minister of Education. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up, Tim?
No, I don't. Thank you so much for the answer.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll just do one last pass for questions. Just a reminder for those on the phones to use *9 and for those on Zoom to use the raise hand function. And with no further questions, we'll wrap today. Thanks, folks.
Thanks so much. Happy Pride, Calgary.
Watching. Alberta's NDP is working hard to build Alberta's future and to build a future that involves all Albertans. The momentum is building. If you want to be part of it, join us at albertasndp.ca.